You're listening to the Preacher's Hour podcast,
a podcast that dives into culture and society from a young preacher's perspective.
I'm Jeffrey Copeland. I teach middle school history. I'm married to my wife, Selena, and I'm a student of the Bible.
And I'm Brandon Jackson. I'm married to my wife, Jess. We have 3 beautiful daughters, and I love to share the gospel with teenagers and help disciple them in their walk.
We sit down each week and have conversations about what we've learned,
what we're learning,
and what we think about current events happening around us.
Enjoy.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey.
We are back.
Man, it's been a long time. No, it's been a week. So, no, it's been good to have y'all all back in here.
Man.
What was that last episode? That was with Sean, huh?
Yeah. Man. That was dope.
Hey, yeah, so shout out to Siaki for being awesome, for sharing his heart, sharing all that stuff. That was a tough episode, man.
Yeah, that was a lot. It was great. Like I needed it. It was a lot, but it was a good time. Man.
It's a good way to stay rooted, man. When you hear about people's triumphs in the Lord, and when you've gone through like something super hard, and then to be able to still praise God at the end, it was a good time.
Yeah, man.
Heavy time, but a good time.
Powerful.
Def.
I feel way more connected to that guy and to you.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, man. The world is crazy.
Bruh.
So we're in 2021.
No, we not. This is December 30. This is December 40th. December 40th, 2020.
This is insane. So this episode should be coming out on the day of Joseph Biden's inauguration. I have no idea what's actually going to happen. So you guys will know more than us because we're, you're in the mid-future.
If we're watching it on Zoom right now.
Yeah. Yeah, if the inauguration is on Zoom right now, then this is wild. But the capital of our country was sieged, stormed, attacked.
Can you call it siege if it wasn't fully taken over?
It wasn't a successful siege, I guess, but it was still a siege.
Attempted coup.
They were climbing the walls, bro.
Did you see the meme?
When the dude fell, bro, I was done. Everyone's been doing voiceovers on that thing.
Oh, I'm going down. Oh, I'm telling you, bro. I was.
Man, black
dead.
people will make their jokes, bro. We will
all
get
day.
our jokes in no matter
we have
what
no
the situation
chill.
is, bro.
Internet, 1 million. Everyone else, 0.
Undefeated. Never lost. But, yeah, man. I remember you text some people. You texted me and some other people. Oh, you guys watching the news? And I was like, okay, first of all, when does Brandon ever say that about the news? I'm like, let me turn this on.
I was sure
we were sitting on the couch with my wife and we turned on CNN and we were just like, I had gotten like the notifications on my phone and they said, the Capitol, there's some rioters at the Capitol. I'm like, that's not, who cares about that? Whatever. Turning that thing on and like seeing the amount of people, I was like, is this real?
Bro, I was like shocked.
This is insane.
And it was so crazy because it's I think it started at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is like 3 o'clock our time. Watched that, or vice versa, it's 3 o'clock their time, 1 o'clock our time. And I watched that mug from 1 o'clock to like 4:30 when I finally was like, okay, that's enough. Like, I just can't. But I'm just, because at first you're just thinking, no, there's no way. Like, this is a hoax. Like, someone took a movie, something from a movie,
like,
and then just like,
is this White House down? This is insane,
bro. I'm talking about and then it wasn't just like people, because it's one thing for people just to be there, but you didn't expect anyone to actually go inside.
Bro, the fact that they had multiple against this window
with nothing happening
and so many questions. The glass at the thing is not bulletproof
or secure.
I'm like,
it's
just regular glass. Second of all, how you get a riot shield?
Where'd you get that?
Where you get a riot shield from? They sell them at Walmart, like.
And it was the riot shield that the police had. So like when you keep watching it, you see that lined up all the police shields have like these clear riot shields, and you're just like,
did you hand it over to somebody? Like,
so many questions, bro. So many questions.
R.I.P. to the people that passed away.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Was it worth it? Was it worth people's lives?
No, it's never worth people's lives, bro.
You know,
never.
I thought blue lives mattered. No, I guess not. I guess that was just a convenience.
Look, the truth is my life matters. And that's it. And it's just, it's sad for me. It's sad for many reasons, but like one thing that, like watching that insurrection, it just showed two things. One, that there's two Americas that many people weren't aware of. And if you're still unaware that there's two Americas, I don't know what else to show you.
Just come hang out with some black people.
I don't know what else to show you.
We've been in two Americas the whole time.
I'm like, yo, a peaceful protest walking down the street can become violent with the police, where they're shooting tear gas, and then you attack the Capitol. It's
an act of war and treason.
While the vice president is in the building.
All joint session of Congress.
I'm just like, wait a minute.
For an election. Not for somebody getting murdered. For an election. Oh. Okay.
It's just different, man.
And then the Jesus 2020 flag and the Jesus Saves poster. It was a meme from Southside Rabbi podcast tweeted, like, there's a picture, this old picture of the KKK. They're all like they're like taking a group photo, and there's like a big Jesus Saves sign, and then this other one there's like Jesus Saves, and there's like the rioters. And I was like, some of the same people.
It's weird. There's no
God was not cool with that. Let's be clear with that.
I don't think people really understand the difference between the God of the Bible and the God of America. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a clear difference between the God of the Bible and the God of America. We're worshiping this country is easy. I just want people to understand that. Like, I can get how you can get caught up in worshiping America and thinking that it's the greatest country in the world. Number one, because they brainwashed us all. Like, they brainwashed. Facts. Like, when 2020 happened, it just opened our eyes to a bunch of stuff. Like,
wait, we're not the greatest?
Bro, the thing that tripped me out is the history books, like how they were explaining slavery and like sugarcoating it, making it seem like there was one that said, like, they didn't say slaves, it said servants. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not the truth. So America has portrayed itself as a great nation. All the while it's imploding from the inside, or exploding from the inside. It's tragic. Yeah,
man. I texted my coworker, like right when it was happening. I was like, I was half jokingly, I was like, "What are your people doing?" Because they were conservative, and I tend to vote Republican, and so he was just like, "Man, I don't know this is insane." Like,
it's wild.
And he was asking me all these questions, like, you know, what's going on? Like, I thought we were better than this. And I said, I said, pride goes before destruction.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, we believe the lie that we are above human depravity. And I said, every single empire falls from within. We're no different.
Not at all. And we have this really sick sense that if America does it, it can't be wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, if America did it, then it's got to be right, and it's not.
Egypt thought the same thing.
Yeah,
Syria thought the same thing. Babylon, Persia, Greece, doing it. Rome, Ottoman, Britain, every empire is the same. That's literally why the Bible talks about Babylon is this archetype for what humanity can do. It's literally human rule. It's representative of every single version of it throughout history. We're just the latest version of Babylon.
Wow.
And so when you look at, if you really want to know what's going to happen, what's supposed to happen to America, just read the Bible when they talk about Babylon in the Old Testament and in the book of Revelation. It is very clear. We are just a continuation of the worst of human evil.
Wow.
Like, this is what humans do. When we seize autonomy for ourselves, when we try to define good and evil for ourselves, it's literally the full outworking of Genesis 3. That's all it is.
Dang,
and so
that's deep.
we're no different. Like to think that no, we're good though. We got this.
Because in a sense, and it's sad because we think that we are going in a direction of we are getting better and better and better and better. And that's the saddest thing ever, because the truth is we're getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then even in the Bible, it says like there will come a day when good will be bad and bad will be good, where they will continuously want to do evil day and night. And we are trying to keep evil at bay, which is it can never happen, because humans want evil. We want to do what we want to do, and that is evil. Yes. The only thing that is better than that is choosing God. And if you don't want to choose God, there is no other way around it. You can't practice morality and think that morality alone is going to like carry you forward, because if my morality says this is good and your morality says no, it's not good for me though, it never works.
Right. I mean, it's funny because people hear our conversation right now, and depending on who they are, or what side they're on, they're going to hear two different things. The Democrats ain't got the answer either.
Nah.
I want to make sure that's very clear. Like, I'm not saying that Joe Biden being the president, Democrats winning the House and then winning the Senate.
That was crazy.
Which was really crazy. We watched it we're following it the whole time. I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
Here's what I always want to tell my conservative people. I just want to tell them, like, if you're right, what are you worried about? You're going to be proven right.
Right.
If the Democrats' way of governing is wrong and you're so sure, then it'll prove itself to be wrong. What are you so afraid of? That's what I don't understand. Like
it's kind of like it's like the mayhem that they can impose before they can come in and fix the problem. So even like what Democrats are feeling right now with Donald Trump, and it's already inauguration day, so they're like, the whole like not wanting Biden to take office, all that kind of stuff. But like in the last 14 days of Trump, it's like since that day, from the Capitol storming to, they tried to impeach my guy because they were worried, like, okay, what about in these last 14 days you could do? And I learned something, I don't even know what I was listening to, but like every president before they leave office, like they do something within the last 5 minutes of their term. So like things will clear literally at the last 5 minutes of their term. So with Obama, it was like they sent some money to like the Palestinians right before Trump took office. Before that was they placed an embassy somewhere, but it doesn't happen until like this final minute, this final hour. So like when that next president takes office, it's like you got this like petty issue about to happen if it's not transferring from Democrat to Democrat. If it's going from Democrat to Republican, Republican to Democrat, they do something super petty. Super petty. So like there's
Trump leaves like stink bombs and they go off. And
no, so what Trump did was like he made I think he made some Asian country that's not considered its own country, but he put an embassy there.
Taiwan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
So like
that's funny.
Just making it like harder for the next president, which is super petty, but it's like a tradition though.
Bro, that's terrible. That is horrible.
Bro, I'm like, we're grown-ups here, guys.
Man, dude.
And then we want to talk about like a uniformed nation, a like gathered together, like, oh, this is America, the melting pot. I think we're boiling by this point.
Two-sided sink. I don't know. It's just like, but like honestly, like, if it's really that bad, if what the Democrats are gonna do is in your mind wrong, and the way of conservatism is right, then it should if what they're doing, what they always do, which is just not good. It doesn't work. It will prove itself to not work. True. Won't it?
It will.
That's what I don't understand. Like.
But you gotta understand, the fear is how much are they gonna destroy
before we can get it back.
And not just before we can get it back, like that we can even fix. So there's some things that could go into law, and because so many people will be practicing it already, by the time Republicans get back in office or conservatives get back in office, it's too late. Like there's nothing we can do. So
They'll be all right. They got the Supreme Court. They'll be fine. They got the Supreme Court.
Look, all I can tell you is trust in God.
I think that should be the main message.
Yeah.
If these last 4 years and 2020 and all the stuff has not taught you that, it should have. Like, you cannot trust in anybody or anything except God. Like, your faith cannot be in a politician or a party or a government.
Which
like,
tripped me out, because at first you think, okay, I know not to put my trust in a man and a human being. I know not to do that. But in these group of people, I should be able to, like...
No! They should be able to bunch of individual humans.
And they're like, okay, for sure, I can do it for my country.
Sure, government.
Like, this has got to be... No, like, they all fail. And then I think it's just like, how fast it's happening. So, like, some things you didn't get to see for years. But like we saw, like, it only took 4 years for us to see how divided America was, how divided the government itself is. You know what I'm saying?
Like the fact that, like, bro, they were literally going to try to stop the vote, like as far as like the Republicans were going to vote against
the electoral college.
And then the Capitol storming happened. Like, oh no, yeah, we with y'all. Like, it took that for y'all to be like, yeah, we should probably just wrap this thing up.
So funny listening to Ted Cruz. I was like, this guy's... He said everything, like, aligning with Trump, and it was like, but because of today. I was like, you got to be kidding. Like, all that, and then because of this one. So the riots didn't happen. You was going to go along with this whole...
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how different would it have been if that did... Like, first of all, you guys' plan backfired. Like, rioters, like, you made it worse. You hurt your own situation.
Because it could have happened.
That's what humans do. We take stuff into our own hands and ruin it.
Mess it up.
But,
because
even Mitch was like, yeah. You got Mitch? Mitch McConnell said no. I was like, oh, this is bad.
Because, I mean, this is... Even what he was talking about, Ted Cruz wanting to like, look for more evidence. Like, we should do our country justice by doing this, this, and this. And I'm thinking, what was all that previously?
What else is there? And this is the funniest thing. That's what we spent the last 3 years doing for Trump's win. It's like, they tried everything legally. Went through all this stuff. There's no way he could have won. How? They just looking. I mean, it took over half of his presidency, like,
and then they tried to impeach him.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, guys, if you ain't found it by now, and then the Republicans, and it's so funny. I don't know if you saw that tweet by, let me see if I can find it, bro, by Tommy Lauren.
I don't think so.
Oh,
the one that said
from the election day. Do I still have it? I hope I do.
Wait, was it the one that Trump posted, or the one that she posted?
No, she posted a tweet. Oh, I ain't got it. But she posted a tweet, like, on November 3rd. Like, you know, she said, if Republicans lose, which we won't, you know, we'll go back to work on Monday and be totally fine and not be upset. Democrats lose, they will riot and tear everything up. And I was like, oh, really? Like, it was hilarious. I was like, oh, man.
This is like kind of like a side topic, but the problem with freedom of speech, you just have too much dang on freedom.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
God knew what he was doing when he set boundaries and parameters.
Look, listen to me.
Look, because you can't, even Trump's own tweet from the Black Lives Matter protest, my dude said, first of all, he said, if you start looting, we start shooting. That was
Al Sharpton.
That was his tweet. And then the Capitol building gets seized, and you know what he says? All good people, we love you. You're special people. And I'm like, wait a minute. You just said if they start looting businesses, you want to start shooting people. But if they want to start looting the Capitol, totally fine, and you love them.
Yeah, that's why when he with the whole that happened in Virginia a couple years ago, and he's like, "There's good people on both sides."
Oh, in Charlottesville
with the tiki torch, good people. Okay, I mean, the dude had to put out a couple videos, and the first one was just, I mean, This
too much
exposed
freedom.
him as a leader, or lack thereof.
The lack of it. Yeah, I'm about to say.
It's just interesting that it literally took his entire presidency up until the last 2 weeks of this man's presidency for all of his people to be like, yeah, we messed up. We shouldn't have supported this guy. Like, it sucks that people die, but it sucks even more that it took this incident for you guys to be like, for at least for 24 hours, like, this is horrible. We got to come together. Because now the whole focus is shifted to like, oh, well, what about this? Yeah. What about Twitter?
It's just crazy to think about the difference, like, and I guess this kind of goes into like the warped perception of worshiping another God or idolizing anything else. You start to be one-sided in everything. Just one-sided. Yeah. So we see what happened in the Capitol. If that was any other race of people, I don't care what you got to say.
They wouldn't have got that far.
Heck no.
They wouldn't have got past the front gate.
The first barrier. First of all,
there would have been full-on soldiers ready to go.
The protesters broke down the 100-yard barrier. That's number one. Like, if Black Lives Matter broke down the first barrier, you're coming in, you're like, no, you didn't.
They would drop a bomb. They would just fly. I mean, it'll be over.
I mean, dude, and to get into the Capitol, but to the point where you're taking stuff, taking pictures, sitting in the same seat,
shouting your names. The worst part too, how the FBI gonna come out and be like, "Hey man, can you guys help us out? Identify the people." They were yelling their names, and you're the FBI. What you mean y'all don't know? You need our help to help you do an investigation. Isn't that your? You're the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Is that what y'all do?
It's literally your job.
You guys had to put out a freaking wanted poster, essentially. Like, hey, can you guys help us
find out who this is?
I'm just like, people were from everywhere too.
That's what tripped me out. Because at first I was thinking maybe this is just from DC, nah, bro. Or even like Virginia.
That girl, Elizabeth from whatever,
Arkansas,
Nashville.
They maced me.
They damn near maced me. The Animaniacs thing, bro. I was like, come on, man.
Oh, that was...
But then you saw she had an onion in her thing. I was like, come on, man. Like,
I can't. I mean, and I know we're laughing and joking about this, but the seriousness of what took place that day, and I feel like a lot of it's being downplayed because of like the situation, because it's white people. To be honest,
that's a big factor. Is the fact that it's white people and that they have to. Their comfort is like their main priority. It has been for a very long time. Yeah. They need to feel like watching them trying to digest this was really interesting.
Facts.
Because they were just like, they can't accept it, and we're over here like, we could have told you this. We've been told y'all this.
When Van Jones was on
saw
scene,
what he said.
I was like, bruh, like, okay, cool, but like to see other people, to see like my white brothers and sisters, especially the ones like my evangelical white brothers and sisters, they were like, okay, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner.
The amount of tweets that I saw, I was like,
they were like,
well, at least you guys,
there is two Americas.
It's about time.
Because they had to deal with, there was a protest for two people dying.
Dead. Murdered. Not
murdered.
Died.
Yeah, murdered. One was on video, clear as day, you killed this man. And then the second one was like, the evidence was clear as day that you got the wrong address and you killed someone on accident. And you didn't even apologize for it. Like, you just...
Nobody was convicted.
The shots that missed had more justice than the ones that hit. So, yes, this is a march for something. But for what just happened, and, like, for the amount of... I mean, they shut down all of Baltimore. Was it Baltimore where Breonna Taylor was shot? Louisville. They shut down, like, the whole Louisville... all the marches stopped, and then the day of the verdict, they boarded up. They was like, and
gas stations.
Funny thing was they knew. Like, how you board us up before this happened?
So they already announced the verdict. Huh? They text y'all, hey man, we already figured it out. You better prepare.
You better get ready.
They gonna be mad.
It's going down.
Yeah.
So all that stuff, man, and we need to recognize two things. One, even for the people that looted, even for the people that like went into the Capitol building and raided it, there's always grace for them as well.
Oh yeah, they're still people.
I'm never like,
no, they're putting poop on the walls.
Ugh, gross. But I'm never the type of person that's like, you did something, lock them up. Like that's never been my thing is let's conversate, let's talk about it, and let's get
what got 30,000 people who showed up,
who
not
showed
the ones that
up.
probably wanted to go but didn't go, who think like them. What are y'all feeling right now? Like, where's all? First of all, I know where the fear comes from, but like, how did you get this afraid?
Yeah.
And what does that tell you about your faith? Like, who do you actually believe in if you're this afraid?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that should scare everybody that you guys would react this way.
To disrupt the actual vote that's happening.
To literally stop your democracy from running. Right? Like, that's
crazy.
A lot.
It is.
I couldn't even think that you would even come up with the idea, let alone actually do it,
on it,
let alone that many people.
That's what tripped me
out. I would have been like, oh, we all doing it? It's not just a couple hundred? Like, no. That's crazy.
And, yeah. I don't want to talk about it no more.
Yeah, we're good. We talked it out. So something that you had said that kind of segues us into our next topic is like worshiping man. Like we always want to worship. We're looking for a person to follow. Even though we already have been provided with one, Jesus of Nazareth, we want a person that we can see and touch to follow.
Yeah. Israel
wanted a king, same thing. So this is old news by now, especially when this comes out, but Ravi Zacharias, the very famous international Christian apologist, passed away earlier. Back in 2020, way back in 2020, of cancer. And there were allegations right around the time of, right before he died and after he died, allegations came out of sexual misconduct by him. He partially owned some massage parlors because he suffered with a lot of back issues. And so he would go to these places to get therapy done. And he was allegedly like exposing himself to women and a lot of other terrible things.
Being very inappropriate.
Yes. I guess like sexting them and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff.
Dang.
And so his organization, RZIM, Ravi Zacharias International Ministries, did their own internal investigation. They hired this big law firm, and they're about halfway or more than halfway through because the full report is supposed to come out either January or February. And so, but through their initial findings of the investigation, it turns out that the allegations were true, that he did a lot of these things. And the thing that I've heard today was like all the witnesses, all the women that came forward, they aren't seeking money. They really didn't want it. Actually, in fact, most of them didn't want to come forward.
Oh wow!
It was other people who noticed something that was going on, and they like kind of forced their hand essentially to come forward and say, "Well, okay, yes, this happened," because they didn't actually want to damage his name or hurt his family. So, it's crazy because we did an episode recently about right before Ravi passed away, just thanking him for all his work that he had done for the kingdom. And so in light of this news, that he did some really unspeakable, terrible things and hurt a lot of people. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
So, if I'm honest, I think that what he did was unacceptable. Like, it's not okay.
Yeah.
And for the women not wanting to speak up, I don't know like their full intent, but if one of them was like so that the gospel wouldn't be tainted, I can understand that. But at the same time, I don't want anybody thinking like, we are down with people like trying to cover up their sin. No, that's not okay. That's not even how we're supposed to walk as believers.
Right.
But the truth is, I hate cancel culture. Like I hate it.
Okay.
I hate it because we base someone's whole legacy on the time that they messed up. I mean, regardless of how bad it was. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and he was like, "Man, yesterday I was like," he said he has like his Apple Music playing in the background, and like a R. Kelly song came on from his Happy People album, and he was like dancing to it, and he's like, man, I was feeling it. Then I remembered how to turn it off, and I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, you can't listen to R. Kelly now. Like, we're not supporting him no more. And I was like, wait, first of all, you're in your own house. Like, you do whatever you want to do in your own house. If you listen to R. Kelly, listen to R. Kelly. But I hate the fact that like what R. Kelly did judges like his whole life. When as believers, that's not how we live at all. That's not how Christ sees. That's not what Christ calls us to do, or like to see people. And if we're honest, if someone shined a light on our own lives,
all of us should.
We would all be canceled.
We should already be canceled.
Like it would happen.
God should have canceled us a long time ago.
Come on, man. So for me, I don't see how this information helps anything. Number one, the dude is already dead. So the only thing that you can go after is his legacy. And I hate the fact that like there are going to be people who denounce or discredit everything he's ever done because of these allegations. And I hate the fact that people won't listen to what he said because he was telling the truth.
Right.
Like, yes, he dealt with some sins. He dealt with, like we all do. And we keep thinking that these human beings are going to be spotless human beings. You know, like, oh, the worst thing that they can do that we'll accept is like they can, you know, lie about. I don't even know, they can't even lie about that. Like, if you stole something when you were 6, oh man, I'm telling everybody.
You tweeted something in 2009 that we don't like?
Cancel it.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. And even like the allegations, what it was like from 15 years ago, or like.
It's been over several years.
Yeah, or however long. But I'm just like, we don't know like, because he could have repented. He could have like, he could even apologize to the women like, hey, back here I acted out of character. All this stuff could have happened, but it doesn't matter once the allegations are proven true. Even when the allegation comes out, it's still a tarnish, even if the allegations become false. It's like, well, you were in a place where you were accused of doing this, so that must have been like, you must have been somewhere in some way, shape, or form out of pocket in that sense. So for me, I still love Ravi Zacharias. I still respect that man to the fullest extent that I can respect another human being. And I still honor him in what he did as far as his ministry went. Because he saved, or he helped people find Jesus. He led many people to Christ, even atheists who thought they knew for sure. And I don't want anyone's faith to be shaken just because they found out he did some inappropriate things, or inappropriate and or illegal, what do you want to call them? He sinned, which should not desecrate his whole legacy.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's crazy because I, number one, like feel for the women. Like nobody should ever do that to a woman or anybody. Like nobody should ever have to deal with that. We should never treat another human being like that. I agree with you as far as like cancel culture is concerned. Because when I first heard about it, I was like, man, like I'm never going to be able to show somebody his work. A non-believer. Exactly. I feel like I can never, they're like, isn't that the dude who, oh, didn't he, blah, blah, blah. Like, I remember I met a guy a couple years ago in the airport. And I was reading one of Ravi's books, and he was like, oh, you reading that? Oh, yeah. Like, you know, he came to my campus a few years ago, and like I was told atheist, and I'm saved now because of him. I thought about that guy. I'm like, man, I hope that he's still saved. Like, I hope he didn't like give up because of Ravi's mistake and his sin. I think this is very clear evidence of we cannot raise up a human being more than we ought to.
Facts.
God makes straight lines with crooked sticks all the time. And so we have to be, it's just an example. I think this is why God did this, because people were probably, if not already, like on the path to worshiping him. Oh yeah. And it's like, look, nah, bro. That's not the person.
That ain't the one.
That's not it. So like platforms are such a dumb thing. They really are. Like nobody should be, oh, but you have a huge platform. God has a huge platform.
Okay. It's called the universe.
And he's just using me. He's speaking to me right now in this moment. I'm not perfect. Like, you shouldn't expect me to be. Now, if I am in this position and I'm choosing to be in this position, I need to walk worthy of the call.
Amen.
I can't be out here doing stuff that I know could come out and damage everything I've ever done. Like, Ravi knew the risk of what he was doing. There's no like, I don't feel bad for him in that sense. Like, you should have known better. You're out here literally preaching to people.
You know better.
You definitely know better.
Like, this is a chosen sin.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, you should have been convicted countless times. Holy Spirit was definitely telling you, hey, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? And so it's a cautionary tale, which a lot of stories in the Bible, a lot of people in the Bible, and even in our own accounts throughout history are cautionary tales of what happens when you do great things for God, but then you forget. You get caught up and you don't protect yourself, and you fall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If it happened to David, it can happen to anybody.
And I just pray that no one don't neglect what he did. Don't throw the ministry out with the man who sinned. Stick with him. He's got good stuff.
I was wondering how you're gonna do that. You thought you were gonna say bathwater. That ain't working. But yeah, so we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about something that we think is pretty cool.
That's interesting. I thought it was fantastic.
It's really. I was
Jeff
with
is
it.
super nonchalant about this whole thing.
We'll see. We'll be back. Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
This is a commercial for Preacher's Hour.
How to pay the bills.
Yeah, our Patreon, guys. So we talked about it a little bit in some episodes, but this is the actual commercial for it. So we have a Patreon. They have a website as well as an app that you can get. And we have 2 tiers on our Patreon. If you know how Patreon works, if you watch other YouTubers, everyone has it. My brother has one. Heck of people are using them. So we have a donation tier, which is $3 a month. You don't get any extra perks. You're literally just helping us out. We just would love it.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
And then we have a $5 a month tier, and that one you would get access to our YouTube live that we will do. So we're gonna start doing. We did an Instagram live before. We're gonna start doing YouTube lives, and they'll only be for our $5 a month Patreons. And they'll be able to do like live Q&As with us, and it'll just be really interactive. So if you don't want to miss out on that, hit on our Patreon real quick. The link will be in the description of our episodes. It's patreon.com/preachershour. If you need more information, hit us up on Instagram.
Yeah, help us out.
Yeah, man. All right, back to your regularly scheduled program. All right, back from the break.
Yeah.
So we were having a really interesting discussion during our break. God is really complicated. That's pretty much the conclusion that we were talking about.
He's incomprehensible.
Yeah, man. But we've been talking about, the division in our country.
Yeah.
And so Brandon and I had just kind of recently been listening to the newest BibleProject podcast series that they've been doing, which is on the family of God.
Yeah.
And it's so needed. like it's so needed. Like talking about
such a time as this,
like humanity as a family,
yeah,
which is God's like main intention. Before we get to that though, my wife and I just started the classroom series.
You did it,
bro?
Is it hard?
It's not.
I didn't think it was gonna be.
Such a good job.
It's knew
super interactive. They literally like. Tim has recorded all these videos with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like they bring them into the super cool looking room, and it's usually about like 6 people, and he does these like short, like 20 to 40 minute like interactions with them, where he's like showing them stuff and he's asking questions. It's so cool. I don't know how they do this on YouTube, but like there's basically 2 screens, and when you go full screen, you have a small window and like the full window. You can switch between the 2. And so you can switch between like whatever he's doing on his iPad and like the camera looking at all the people in the room. It's really cool.
Wow.
You can just like, whenever you want, you can just like make this one big, make this one small.
That's
and
cool.
So whenever like there's nothing, it's just that nothing's written, we just have him all big talking to people. And then when he starts writing stuff, we click on that and it becomes big and they become small. And you can see what he's writing and what he's drawing and diagramming and stuff.
Wow.
It's lit. And then after you watch the video, they have all these questions that you answer.
Oh, I gotta
to
get
see
on
what
that.
see what you've learned and stuff like that. Like, oh, that's correct. Oh, that's not correct. Blah, blah, blah. And then they have like this whole open forum thing where like you can see what people have posted and stuff like that. Yeah, we've gotten through. We did the mini class, we did the pre-class, and then we did the first session. They're super long. It's like 18 hours worth of stuff in one class. And that's just one class, but you can go at your own pace. It's like very chunked out. So there's like
I feel like there's like so much to learn in that though. Like
it's lit, bro.
Oh yeah,
the part where we left off, I can't wait to go back into it because it's like on the.
Which is so crazy. We geek out over this Bible stuff.
Dead Sea Scrolls and like how the Bible was created, and it's all about the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament.
Old Testament.
And so I cannot wait to continue. Me and my wife are doing it together, which is really cool. But I wholeheartedly endorse.
We're gonna become a small sponsor.
Oh,
for the Bible Project.
Listen, I'm already in there, but
because of all that they have done for us.
But I think that TG, this church that we're starting, I think that we should use their stuff in our small whatever we're gonna do. I'm still trying to come up with a name. I need your help to come up with a name because I do not want to call it small group, cell group, life group, because it needs to be more important than that. But like we have our main church, we meet in a building once or twice a week with a main congregation. But I think that true discipleship happens on a smaller scale. And so whenever that, takes place throughout the week, that should be done in homes.
Yeah.
And so what we do in those homes, I think we could definitely use the BibleProject stuff, their classroom stuff in there, and along with experiencing God. But
yeah, because experiencing God and BibleProject put together, it's a
unstoppable. Telling you,
Jean.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, the BibleProject in a whole it brings the fun back to like learning scripture, and the fact that they're really creative and they have all these. Number one, it takes the fear out of learning about the Bible.
Absolutely.
And you're just not intimidated because you're just watching the video. And then even after you watch the video, you might have to watch 2 or 3 times, but like you've already learned so much that you may not have known. And you're just like, wait, did I learn something? Like
my wife is getting it, man.
It's so intriguing. I remember when we were watching like the word study series and like learning about the word sin and all that kind of stuff. And I'm all you're juiced. I'm juiced.
I'm gonna show you after.
Oh yeah, we gotta watch that. But, we gotta see that.
But yeah, so Brandon hit me up a couple days ago.
Yeah,
he was like, "Dude, listen to episode 6 of the Family of God series." And my wife and I had already listened to 1 and 2, and so we stopped what we were doing and we listened to 6 together on the TV. We were just playing off Spotify, and it was dope, man.
I thought it was very interesting.
What? Because you were juiced. Like, what got you about that episode?
So the first thing that really caught me was Jesus being like the family corrector. Like God wanted to bring blessings through a family, but the whole thing is we are all a family. Like that was the first thing that like just kind of like rung my bell. I'm like, because I mean, some people really don't know, but many people already know that the whole world is related because we all started from the same place. But one thing that we don't take in consideration is like we should treat each other as such, So that's one thing I think we miss. And due to that, like we have different factions, different people like wanting different things and tribes, all that kind of stuff. But the whole idea that God tried to start from the beginning was a family. It wasn't about just like making humans and putting them all over the world for no random reason. It's all about family. So that's one thing that caught me. The second thing was just women in the Bible who normally like stories that get overlooked. Like you'll read a story and you won't even understand how these things are connected. I think this is what got me. If I'm 100% honest, it's the cohesive connectedness of the Bible. Like how how the Hebrew Bible is put together, how everything matters. Like, so in that series there was three women, which is like Rahab, four. So it was Rahab,
Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and then Bathsheba.
Yeah.
They're mentioned in the genealogy in the beginning of Matthew.
Yes. So as I'm reading, like listening to it, and I'm reading the genealogy, I'm seeing these names and things that like would normally pop out to the readers of the time that would just be so evident. They would just ask the question, wait a minute, why are these women in here? Like that would just be the question you would ask.
And all four of them most likely are not Israelites.
Facts.
At least three of them are definitely not
Israelites.
Bathsheba probably wasn't.
Because she was married to a Hittite.
And even though she has a Hebrew name, doesn't guarantee she was actually Hebrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of that came into like play when I'm like listening to this episode, and I'm thinking, okay, that would be an automatic flag that goes up in someone's mind to go find. Like, if you don't know about these women, you need to go check it out. When we read the genealogy, we're like, this is boring.
A lot of names. I can't
pronounce these things. So for me, I'm thinking, okay. So they kind of energized me to go and like check out who these women were, what are their stories. And then when you read their stories, the similarities that are in their story, you're like, oh, there's no way that like this story and this story, like everything that's happening, and it's happening like over years.
Yes.
This is not like just like one isolated incident. So the one thing that like really got me was all four women were doing some type of shady, may have seemed shady things at night. And so like, you know, Bathsheba and David, Tamar sleeps with her father-in-law. I didn't even know this, that Ruth exposes Boaz at the threshing floor. So I got to go back and read that, because I'm like, wait, really? What? Yeah, I'm like
exposed. Like, oh no, I get what you mean, because they were there alone.
Yeah,
at night, and so he was like, hey, like you need to leave like separately, because people are gonna think
that you did something tonight. Yeah. So like
that makes sense.
So like these, like, you know, go off the back basically.
Yes.
And then Rahab was she was a prostitute who took in men at night, but they weren't doing anything. But like,
but people probably thought
exactly. But the whole thing was about the perspective, and that people like even, and it all pointed to Jesus. So Jesus, what Tim Mackey had mentioned was Jesus is probably going to come and do some things that the majority of people are going to think are shady or wrong. And because of that, they're going to judge him for that and think that he's evil or whatever. And like, if you don't read into the scripture like that, first of all,
missing a lot.
You miss so much, Jeff. So that's what got me geeked out. I'm like, I can't believe I don't know this. Like,
man. So the thing that got me, so first of all, the point of this series is like what Brandon said, is that God's original intention when he created humanity is that we are all one family. Okay. And so you look at Genesis, the beginning, the first even 4 chapters, he creates a family and he says, be fruitful and multiply. And this family messes up. They continue to be fruitful and multiply. Then there's all these other families, and you know
the sibling rivalries that happen.
You know, Cain and Abel, and then there's Cain creates the city of Babylon and Tower of Babel, and his son Lamech, one of his descendants, does stuff.
Canaanites. Never put it.
No, they're not spelled the same. No, Canaanites come from Cana.
No.
Is Ham's kid.
Right, but Ham comes from Cain.
No, Ham comes from Noah's kids. Ham is one of Noah's kids.
Okay, somewhere in there, I remember listening to the BibleProject, and they mentioned that Cain.
Like, hold on, wait a minute.
There's a different name, but basically it's spelled different, so you don't attribute it to Cain's people.
Yeah, but it might be Lamech, or I forget what you're talking about.
I'll find out while you're talking.
But yeah, dude. So God's original plan is that everyone be a family. All humanity is one family. And I've heard this, and I've even said this before, like, you know, there's only one race, is the human race. But we divide ourselves by tribes, by, you know, nations, language, whatever the case may be. We divide ourselves, right? And so God's like, okay, I'm going to choose one family to save all the other families and let them all be one family.
Mm-hmm.
So he chooses Abraham's family, and Abraham doesn't even get it right. But there are moments when this is one part I love. There's some moments that he does get it right by forming covenants.
With other
So
people.
you realize the tool that a covenant is. So covenant is God's unity making tool, right? He literally makes a covenant with Abraham to say, hey, we're going to be a unit.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that covenant is that Abraham's not involved.
Right, he's
literally
asleep.
God puts him to sleep, just like he did to Adam,
Adam.
by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells Abraham, get the animals that you're supposed to do, cut them in half, and then set up like a little hallway of cut in half animals.
Jeez.
And instead of both of them walking in between, because that was a symbol back in the day, like you make a covenant between kings, like we're gonna walk between these animals, and if we break it, let us end up like these animals, right? But instead, he puts them to sleep. There's this like flaming, smoking thing, and God walks between the pieces by himself. Because he knows that if I do it with a human, the human's going to fail. I'm never going to fail this covenant. So it's all on me.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who's going to uphold this covenant, right? And so, and then later in Genesis 20, Abraham makes a covenant with Abimelech, and he like stops this whole conflict, and he blesses all of Abimelech's people by making a covenant. He's an example of what humans are supposed to do with each other. Right, we're supposed to be covenant and unite together and bring unity and bring blessing.
Yeah,
and so Abraham's family gets so off; they get all jacked up. Generations go by. The kingship is terrible. God sends all these prophets, and so that's why so much of the Old Testament is focused on a Messiah that's supposed to come for Israel, to get Israel right, so that all of the nations can get right.
Yeah,
so like. Jesus, when he comes, he is very, very, very focused on Israel.
Very.
But one thing they point out in that episode I thought was really cool was that his people were very unreceptive to him. He got a warmer reception from non-Israelites, right? Which makes sense in his genealogy of these four non-Israelite women. And then you get to the story of the Roman centurion.
Yep.
Jesus helps him out. You got the Canaanite woman.
Yep.
And they have that whole exchange about if you read it in English, you're like, Jesus is such a jerk.
So rude.
Calling her a dog means calling her a puppy.
Yeah.
And then even that has implications in the way she flips the thing back on Jesus. And he's like, man, you have great faith. I did what you did. And it's just like, there's so much going on. And then the coolest part is
even like the leper that came back and he was a
Samaritan. Exactly. Like it's God is showing us through the Gospels that, look, even though I'm here for the lost sheep of Israel, I'm really here for everybody. Like, I'm here to get everybody.
That's
then,
the part that gets me.
When he comes back from the dead, that was my favorite part. He's like, okay, I got to go find it in the notes, because that part
mug
was lit. I was like, first of all, bro, this was crazy. The wise men? That part
messed me up. So,
I was like, oh my God. First, I never knew they weren't Jews. Like, I never processed that.
Never knew they weren't Jews. Secondly, not just that they weren't Jews, that it could have been more than 3.
It was definitely more than 3.
I was like...
But, like, so this is why we have to understand the Old Testament. Like, if y'all don't get nothing else from us, we have to understand, because we were missing
and there were astrologists.
So, dude, think about this, right? So, in the book of Isaiah 60, right? Let me read. It's just Isaiah 65 through 6. Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will thrill and rejoice, because the abundance of the sea will be turned to you. The wealth of the nations will come to you. A multitude of camels will cover you. The young camels of Midian and Ephah. All those from Shiva will come. They will bring gold and frankincense and will bear good news for the praises of the Lord. That's straight out of Isaiah. So the nations are going to be coming to the temple,
which were
right, to bring gifts,
which was God. Which
Fast
was Jesus.
Forward to Jesus, like he literally is the temple, and you have these foreigners from other nations bringing,
and
gifts
that's why there's more than 3
to the temple.
That's why it has to be more than 3, because the idea is all the nations came to him
to the temple to bring, and he's the temple. But then it also is paralleling with what's going to happen in Revelation. When the New Jerusalem is going to be the same thing. You're going to have people from every nation come and bring stuff to the New Jerusalem. So this is both a fulfilled prophecy and a future prophecy to come. It's at the same time. But like you never think about when John says, and the Word came and became flesh and
dwelt,
became a portable temple. Jesus was literally a walking temple.
This is why the number one, the Bible's not boring.
I know. You
have to get to a point where the little nuggets like entice you. Mm-hmm. Like, and the thing is, there are so many of them. Like the whole Bible is a 20-piece chicken nugget.
Oh my gosh.
With extras. Like,
and I never really paid attention to Matthew 4 before you get to the Sermon on the Mount. Like how he's passing through all these places, and there's no way that everybody who was following him was Jewish. It's not possible.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All the places he was traveling through in Matthew 4, through Galilee or Syria. In fact, Jesus was going throughout all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and healing every kind of disease and every kind of sickness among the people. Oh, yeah. The news about him spread throughout all Syria, and they brought to him all who were ill, those suffered with various diseases and pains, demonic, epileptic, paralytics. He healed them. Large crowds followed him from Galilee and the Decapolis and Jerusalem and Judea and from beyond the Jordan. That part right there was beyond the Jordan, the other side of Jordan. So like literally people from all these nations, these were heavily non-Jewish areas. Oh yeah. There were Jews there, but mostly non-Jewish. So that means like Jesus was constantly surrounded by people from other nations. Right? Wow. Man. And then you get through the Sermon on the Mount, he's explaining all this really cool stuff that he wants people to do. And then like, man, he draws stuff from Isaiah 2 and Isaiah 60, like on purpose. Because when you get to the end, when Jesus comes back from the dead, let me get to that part. When I want to quote exactly what he says. I don't know if it's actually in here or if I'm...
Is it in Mark or Matthew?
It might be. You know what? I don't even know if it's in here. It's not, because I'm literally confusing this with the classroom stuff that we've been going over. Oh. But he literally says, like, now that I've come back, I'm coming back to fulfill the law of Moses, like the Torah, the prophets, and the Psalms. Now go and get everyone from all nations. Like Jesus, once he's come back from the dead, once he's fulfilled his whole thing, and he's been crucified and he comes back from the dead, Israel's good at that point. Basically, I've done what I need to do for Israel. Now I can turn my attention to non-Jews, to the rest of the nations.
Which makes sense.
Because he told his disciples, like, when you're going out, like, skip. We're only here for the lost sheep of Israel. He says that very clearly. I think it's actually in here.
It was when he's talking to the Canaanite woman.
Was it at that same point?
Yeah. That's what, because he's like, I've come for the household of Israel. It's not right for me to give.
Oh no, it's actually right before. It's in Matthew 10. He says, "These 12 Jesus sent out after instructing them." Now he's done the Sermon on the Mount. He talked to everybody from all nations, and then he gets his 12, and he says, "Do not go on the way. Do not go on the way of the nations, and do not enter any city of the Samaritans, but rather go to the lost sheep of Israel, to the house of Israel. And as you go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven has come near." So he says, he gives them specific instructions. You guys only talk to the Israelites. But once his mission is good, I've died, came back from the dead.
To all nations.
That's good. Now I'm doing my real mission, which was to use the now completed family of Abraham to go be a blessing to all nations, right? And to adopt them in to all be one family.
That's crazy.
Like, it's amazing, like how much, even if you're a Hebrew Israelite, I'm not mad at you. Do your thing. There's no way you can read just the Old Testament and miss all of this.
All that, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
God has always been about all the nations.
And when you read the Old Testament, if you read it carefully, there's so many stories of foreigners being blessed by Yahweh. being used by Yahweh.
Cyrus.
Like
so
many.
Yeah.
So you can't neglect that and say like, oh no, he's only here for, if you're a radical Hebrew Israelite, you're just gonna like, no, just Israel and that's it. Everybody else is gonna die in destruction. It's just not true. Like, unfortunately, it's just not true. Well, unfortunately for you, but fortunately for everybody else, that's just not true. So
yeah, man,
I find that to be so necessary and pivotal, like for us at this time. And this, I'm talking to all believers. Our mission is to make disciples, but the way that we do this is not just by preaching people, but it's by inviting them into our family.
Yes,
like when you can see, oh wow, Jeff brought in this person and this person and this person, and they dined with him, they ate with him. Like, what makes you want to do that? Well, bro, like, come over, I'll tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we make family wherever we go, making these covenants with people so that we don't even. This is one thing I've always wanted to do. I think I've done it maybe once or twice, but I want to disciple someone from introducing you to Jesus to you like doing it yourself. Like, I want to be a part of that whole process. The only way I can do that is if I'm actually doing life with you. You know what I'm saying? I can't like introduce you to Jesus and then like we part ways and then like, all right, I'm ready to do it. Come over. And that's not how it works. Like, we have to be in covenant relationship with each other. And this is what God was trying to do from the beginning, so that we can those who believe in him can go out and tell the people about him. Number one, because he's so awesome and he's so good. This is why we tell people about him, and he saved our soul. But number two, we have a whole family that backs us.
Yes, and he wants everybody to become part of that family. And we talk about covenants being God's tool for making unity. Jesus literally made a new covenant, like with his blood and his body. Like, come drink the cup and take the bread. Like, I'm making a new covenant with humanity. Yeah, like to where we can all be one. Be a family. And he says in Matthew 28, the most famous verses in the Bible, and Jesus came up and spoke to them, saying, "All authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and Son and Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I commanded you." That's Sermon on the Mount. So this is why it's in the same book. You got to go back earlier in Matthew to get exactly what he commanded. And lo, I'll be with you always, even to the end of the age. Like, we have a family, and just all the stuff that we've seen throughout this whole year, for decades, whatever the case may be in America. Like, there shouldn't be division if there are Christians here. Like, our main mission is to go and tell people, all nations, hey, like, you can be part of this family, and I'm going to treat you like family. You know what I'm saying? We got to unite all the different families of the earth back to one singular family, which was God's original intent in the first place.
Because we become the culmination of God's plan when we are unified. Jesus said it in the garden when he was praying.
John 17.
He was like,
be perfectly
one, like you and I are perfectly one. Talking to his Father God. So if we are to be that, we need to be one. So I understand frustrations. I understand people hurting. Like, I understand Capitol building storming. I get it. We're upset. But as a believer, especially for those carrying those flags that said Jesus 2020 or Jesus saves, if you're serious about it, be serious about it. Yeah. Bring the unity, bring the love, unite the people under the banner of Christ. And then for those who are going out there trying to slander our brother Ravi for his sin, that's not unity. Like, we can't make that. That's not what you would do to family, even if that was your own blood, which it is. But if you see it differently, just think about that. What would you do if that was your little sister, your little brother who made a mistake? You would be like, it's a mistake. Show grace.
And obviously, the people who were hurt by Ravi, we also have to pray and bring. God is the only one who can bring healing. To those broken people who've been hurt by what Ravi did. So, like, we don't neglect the pain that Ravi caused, the hurt, the harm that he caused. But Jesus is the only hope for both sides of the conflict. He's the only hope for both sides of the political aisle, right? Like,
it's the only hope.
So we've got to.
That's good.
Yeah, we've got to be unity makers, covenant makers. The covenant's already been made by Jesus. We just got to tell people about it. so they can join in. Yeah, man.
That's good. That's good.
Hopefully that makes sense. Both Brandon and I were very excited.
Yeah, when we get excited,
talking really fast,
it gets kind of jumpy.
So if you didn't understand anything we were talking about, go check out the Bible Project's Family of God series. It's 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally skip to the 6th one, because they always recap everything they talked about before. But
it's so good.
It's legit. If you don't get it, check out the Classroom series. If you still don't get it, hit me up. Yeah, because I will help you out.
And if you still don't get it, try Jesus.
Yeah, don't try me.
All right, guys, love y'all.
Yeah, man. We will see y'all on the next one.
Peace.